Welcome to another deep dive into the wild world of food history. Today, we're packing our bags and heading to Iceland, a land of glaciers, geysers, and one of the most stomach-turning delicacies on Earth. Hakarl. That's right, fermented shark. The culinary creatine that smells like a chemistry lab accident and tastes like, well, let's just say, an acquired taste. But how did this infamous dish come to be? Why would anyone willingly eat a creature that could poison you if served fresh? Buckle up, because this is a story of survival, resourcefulness, and a touch of madness. Section 1. A deadly beginning. Hakarl begins its story not in a trendy Reykjavik bistro, but in the frigid waters of the North Atlantic. Meet the Greenland shark, a slow-swimming behemoth with a sinister secret. Its flesh is toxic. That's right. This predator comes preloaded with a deadly cocktail of urea and trimethylamine oxide. Fresh off the boat, a bite of Greenland shark could give you a one-way ticket to the great beyond, courtesy of kidney failure or severe intoxication. But ancient Icelanders didn't have the luxury of picky eating. Their icy homeland was no buffet, and survival meant making the most of what nature provided. Even if that meant turning a toxic shark into a dish worthy of legend. Enter fermentation, the ultimate culinary Hail Mary. Section 2. The cooking process. Calling the preparation of hakarl cooking is like calling skydiving a relaxing hobby. It's more of a process, and a pungent one at that. First, the shark is gutted and beheaded. Standard fare, sure. But then the real fun begins. The shark is buried in a shallow pit, covered with gravel and topped with heavy stones. This, my friends, is the natural pressure cooker of the Viking-era. Over several weeks, the shark ferments, breaking down those deadly toxins into something technically edible. And just when you thought it couldn't get weirder, the shark is then hung out to dry for several months. Picture it. Strips of meat flapping in the brisk Icelandic wind, releasing an odour that could peel paint off walls. Delicious, right? Section 3. A Viking tradition. So, why did ancient Icelanders put themselves through this nose-pinching ordeal? Survival, of course. Back in the day, there were no refrigerators or preservatives, and meat had to be stored in creative ways. Greenland shark, despite its toxic tendencies, was abundant, and hakarl became a staple for those who could stomach it. But this wasn't just peasant food. Hakarl took on symbolic meaning, embodying resilience and resourcefulness. For centuries, it was a reminder that Icelanders could thrive in one of the harshest environments on Earth, turning adversity into a tradition. Today, eating hakarl is less about survival and more about honouring that Viking spirit, or testing your own bravery. Section 4. The smell that precedes it. Let's not dance around it. Hakarl stinks. Forget your regular fishy odours. This is on a whole new level. The smell of hakarl has been described as like a public toilet in the middle of a heatwave. Rotting fish mixed with ammonia, and, my personal favourite, a cross between cat urine and burning rubber. But here's the twist. Icelanders don't just eat it, they celebrate it. Hakarl is a centrepiece of Þorrablót, a midwinter festival that showcases traditional Icelandic foods. In a way, the smell is part of the appeal. It's a badge of honour, a challenge for the senses, and an instant icebreaker for tourists. Just one whiff, and you'll have a story to tell for life. Section 5. The cultural importance of Þorrablót. To truly understand hakarl's place in Icelandic culture, we need to talk about Þorrablót, the midwinter festival that transforms fermented shark into a centrepiece of celebration. Þorrablót is Iceland's annual homage to the past, a time to honour the grit and resourcefulness of Viking ancestors who didn't just survive the Arctic's harsh winters, they thrived in them, fueled by preserved foods like hakarl. Dating back to Iceland's pagan roots, Þorrablót was originally a feast dedicated to Þorri, a figure in Norse mythology associated with winter and frost. As the legend goes, Þorri was either a frost giant or a personification of the cold itself, depending on who's telling the tale. In either case, he wasn't someone you wanted to anger. Early Icelanders would hold a great feast to appease Þorri, ensuring the survival of their livestock, their crops, and, most importantly, themselves through the brutal winter months. When Christianity spread to Iceland in the 11th century, Þorrablót faded into obscurity, viewed as a pagan relic. But centuries later in the 19th century, it experienced a revival. Icelanders, eager to reconnect with their Viking heritage and foster a sense of national identity, reintroduced Þorrablót as a celebration of traditional culture, food, and community. Modern Þorrablót is less about appeasing frost giants and more about embracing Iceland's rich history and culinary traditions. Held in January and February, when the days are short and spirits are often lower than the Arctic temperatures, Þorrablót brings people together to eat, drink, and laugh in the face of winter's bleakness. At the heart of this celebration lies the Þorrablót, a feast of traditional Icelandic foods. The menu reads like a Viking-era greatest hits list: pickled ram's testicles, blood pudding, sheep's head jelly, and of course, the star of the show, hakarl. These preserved foods are a testament to the ingenuity of early Icelanders, who had to get creative to survive in a world without refrigeration. Hakarl, in particular, carries a symbolic weight during Þorrablót. It's not just a quirky snack, it's a reminder of resilience. Eating it is an act of connection to those who came before, a nod to the ancestors who endured fierce winters and found ways to make even the most unpalatable foods edible. For modern Icelanders, biting into hakarl is like saying, "We're still here and we're tougher than the storm." But let's not overlook the festive side of Þorrablót. This isn't some somber, reflective gathering. It's a party. People gather in community halls, sing traditional songs, share poems, and toast with generous pours of brennivín. It's a time for camaraderie, storytelling, and good-natured ribbing, especially aimed at the uninitiated who get their first whiff of hakarl. Section 6. Famous reactions to hakarl. If hakarl had a resume, one of its standout achievements would be professional gag inducer. This fermented fish has made grown men weep, chefs retch, and even Anthony Bourdain, culinary daredevil extraordinaire, declare it the single worst, most disgusting thing he'd ever eaten. And let's not forget Gordon Ramsay, who spat it out faster than you can say, "Where's the lamb sauce?" But not everyone is repelled. For some, hakarl is an acquired taste, like fine blue cheese or durian. Icelandic locals often pair it with a shot of brennivín, a potent schnapps lovingly nicknamed Black Death. The drink, they say, helps cut the ammonia flavour. Or maybe it just numbs your taste buds altogether. Section 7. The role of hakarl in Icelandic tourism. Hakarl has managed to carve out a peculiar niche in Icelandic tourism, where it thrives not just as a food, but as an experience. It's not the kind of delicacy you casually stumble upon. It's one you're dared to eat, cheered on by grinning locals who swear it's the ultimate rite of passage for any visitor to the land of fire and ice. Think of it as the culinary equivalent of dunking into an icy fjord. Bracing, memorable, and something you'll proudly tell stories about later. Local tour guides have become experts at setting the stage for the hakarl encounter. A typical pitch might go something like this. In Iceland, we have a saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." And hakarl, well, it's about to put that to the test. Delivered with a sly smile and a twinkle in their eye, the line is usually met with nervous laughter from the group. Many tourist hotspots, like the Bjarnarhöfn Shark Museum, have turned hakarl into a spectacle. Here, you can learn about the traditional preparation process before being handed a cube of fermented shark meat, often served on a toothpick. The museum staff relish the reactions, ranging from exaggerated gagging to wide-eyed surprise. One tour guide gleefully recounts the time a visitor ran out the door, waving their arms and yelling, "It's alive!" Spoiler, it wasn't. Then, there are the veteran locals who've made hakarl tasting their performance art. Some host Þorrablót-inspired events, where tourists are encouraged to embrace the spirit of Viking revelry. Out comes the hakarl, accompanied by a shot of brennivín. "This is your helmet," they'll say, holding up the schnapps. "It'll protect you from the battle ahead." The dare escalates with every sip, culminating in cheers for the brave, or commiseration for those who couldn't finish the bite. For many travellers, eating hakarl becomes a badge of honour, a story to take home and laugh about later. It's not just food, it's a test of courage, a cultural connection, and, above all, a reminder that sometimes the best memories come with a little discomfort. As one Icelandic host cheekily put it, you haven't really visited Iceland until you've tasted the shark and survived to talk about it. Section 8. A modern icon. Despite its divisive reputation, hakarl has become an icon of Icelandic culture. It's a rite of passage for adventurous tourists and a favourite subject for travel shows. Restaurants across Iceland serve it as a novelty, often with a side of amused warnings. That's it for today's dive into food history. If you enjoyed this look at the wilder side of global cuisine, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment with the strangest food you'd ever try. Or maybe already have. Who knows? It might just end up on this channel. Until next time, keep your sense of adventure and your nose sharp. Skál!